All right, let's go ahead and continue our series on finding the right people and the right time to present solutions. So, last week we talked about finding the right time to present. I think everybody did a great job on that. This week we're going to go ahead and move into finding the right people to decide. And so, remember earlier in the call, we're going to go over the first request to have the right people involved so that everybody has equal access to the information, to find out the people who needed to be present to make a choice. So earlier in the call, you might ask who found the problem, what did they say, or what was it like, or you might just say how many people use the plumbing system, right? And they would tell you, well, there's my wife Janet and my son Billy. That's what the people who use it. I said, okay, now remember, request number one is just ask straight up. Just so Janet has equal access to the information, how can we get her to be part of this so she can listen to the information we're going to present? Right, that would be there. And then hopefully the client would just go with it. Now, what I found is that about 75 to 80% of the time, people just go with the flow and they're not a problem with that. Well, they may give you pushback. So they would say, well, she's busy and I really don't know her schedule. They might tell you that. The second request now would be, again, moving forward. So, John, you talked about Janet before. Would you say that she's an important person in your life? Well, of course she is. Well, I sense that. Janet was important as well. Now, how important is it to show her respect? Well, it's really important. Why would you even say that? Well, one of the things I really believe to show my respect is to make sure everyone has equal access to the information so that they can make an informed choice. Now, if you were me and you wanted her to get involved so she has equal access to the information to make sure we show her respect, how would we do that? Well, I'll make sure she's here when you come back. And that would be, I'd say the rest of them, like 97% now, would go with one of those first two things. Now, if you do get finally resistance to even that, then you'd say, well, I'm just gathering the information. The customer might say, I'm just gathering the information and I'll explain everything to her for you. You don't got to worry about that. And then you would say, well, John, I can see that Becky is, that Janet's lucky to have someone like you who can take on the burden of talking to people like me to make it easier on her. Can I ask you something, though? Sure, what is it? Well, John, how many times have you presented a water heating solution before? Or a plumbing solution, or an electrical solution, or an HVAC solution? Well, I've never done that, Can I ask you something, though? How many times have you done that? Well, obviously, I've never sold anything like that before. Well, I do over 400 calls a year and presentation of my services every year. I believe that great service is my job to serve you. So if you got two choices at this point. Number one, if you want, I can explain everything to Janet, and that means you can explain everything to Janet, and that means basically doing my job. So that would be bad customer service, and I'd have to withdraw myself from the opportunity to help you and the family. On the other hand, if you wanted to please let me do the honor of explaining my solutions so that both you and her can make an informed choice, I'd be happy to do that as well. So what should we do? That is it. So now you're basically giving two choices. One would be to let them know that bad service, and that's that part. Now, if they tell you that, well, which way would you like to do this? If they want to do bad service, say, well, that's okay. You'd have to do that without me then. So in a way, this would be giving people those choices between stopping and continuing, and that would be finding the right people to decide. So this week, I'd like you to take it from the worksheet at the very top and just start with the second U. So just so Janet has equal access to the information, how can we make sure that to get her to be part of this? Start with that, and let's do the role play exercise from this point forward. This is an important factor. Last week you had the right time. We move right into the right people, and now you are at the right time with the right people, which is going to ensure that well over 90% conversion rate if you could do that. Everybody have a great one this week. We'll talk to you again after the holiday, and we'll see you then. Goodbye, everybody.